The silent threat. The darkness of space stretched endlessly, but something was different. An unusual presence had been detected just outside the edge of Earth's solar system. The galaxy's greatest military minds were in a frenzy, watching the strange movement of ships that should not be there. For centuries, the galaxy had remained peaceful. Every conflict, every war had followed strict rules, rules that were honored by every species. But the humans, they had never followed those rules. They were unpredictable, and that made them dangerous. On Earth, the first hint of the incoming threat came in the form of a mysterious signal. It wasn't from the alien fleet. They had made their presence known, but this was something entirely different. A strange pulse, an unknown frequency, was coming from deep within Earth itself. The humans, with their primitive technology, had somehow intercepted a message, a warning from someone or something. The United Earth government was on high alert. Satellite systems began to detect the movement of the enemy fleet. Thousands of ships, advanced beyond human understanding, were headed straight for Earth. They were arriving faster than anyone had expected, their speed almost impossible to calculate. As the ships closed in on the blue planet, the galaxy's most powerful species, the ones who had lived for millennia in peace, grew nervous. They knew the humans' reputation. They had heard the stories of humans breaking every rule, of humans fighting in ways no one had ever imagined. The first signal was intercepted by the Earth Defense Network. The voice on the screen, a calm and detached robotic tone, sent a simple warning. Prepare yourselves. The galaxy is watching. Across Earth, millions of people stared in confusion. What did it mean? Who was this message for? The silence that followed was deafening. Governments scrambled to respond, but the humans knew one thing. There was no way to prepare for this. The aliens, with their advanced fleets and high technology, were coming. But there was something in the humans' hearts that no alien could predict. Their resilience, their creativity, and their refusal to follow anyone's rules. And so, the waiting game began. Earth's military forces took position, ready to defend their home. The alien fleet came closer, yet the humans did not panic. The humans, with their ingenuity, immediately began to develop ways to level the playing field. They might not have the same firepower, but they had something else, an uncanny ability to adapt, to fight with everything they had, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. What the galaxy didn't know was that Earth had been preparing for this moment for years. While the aliens had their powerful weapons, the humans had developed something even more dangerous. An unpredictable, non-linear approach to war. They didn't need the galaxy's rules. They would create their own. And so, the stage was set for a conflict that no one could have ever imagined. As the alien fleet closed in, the humans knew they had only one chance. The galaxy's expectations were simple. Humans would surrender, or they would be crushed. It had always been the way. But what the galaxy didn't understand was the humans' way of thinking. They didn't follow rules. They didn't play by the book. They played to win, no matter what it took. The first sighting of the enemy fleet was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Huge ships, towering over anything humanity had ever built, floated ominously in the sky. The humans watched in awe and fear, but they did not stand still. In fact, Earth's leaders made a decision that would shape the entire future of this war. They would not wait to be attacked. They would strike first. It wasn't a strategy anyone could have predicted, especially not the alien invaders. The humans did not go to war in the conventional sense. They weren't trained soldiers, not in the way the galaxy's most advanced species were. But they had something even more powerful, an inner strength that had pushed them to survive countless threats in the past. The alien fleet was vast, with a power that could destroy entire planets. But the humans didn't think about power the way the aliens did. They thought about resilience. They thought about survival. And most importantly, they thought about how to turn the tables on an enemy that never expected to be outsmarted. Just as the alien ships made their final approach, the humans' plan went into motion. It wasn't a full-fledged battle yet. It wasn't about ships clashing in space or missiles launching. It was something far more subtle, far more dangerous. On Earth, massive communications grids were activated. A strange signal, the same signal that had been intercepted earlier, was broadcast back into space. It was simple, a mere message that could be understood by any sentient species in the galaxy. But the message was enough. Prepare for the unexpected. The aliens, who had always relied on their overwhelming superiority, were caught off guard. It wasn't just a warning. It was a declaration. The humans weren't afraid. And they weren't going to give in. The rules were about to change. And the galaxy was about to learn a valuable lesson. Never underestimate humanity. With the first move made, the silent threat had become very real. The aliens had underestimated humans. The game was on, and Earth had just started playing, breaking the rules. The first move had been made, and the galaxy was watching with bated breath. The alien fleet, poised to invade Earth, had not anticipated this. What was supposed to be a standard conflict had become something far more complex. Humanity, known for its unpredictability, was now showing the galaxy that their instincts for survival went beyond what anyone had imagined. They weren't just fighting to defend. They were playing a game no one had ever taught them to play. The alien ships, massive and imposing, loomed over Earth. For the beings from the far reaches of the galaxy, war was a well-rehearsed procedure. They had conquered countless worlds, and every battle followed the same pattern. Advanced weapons, precise tactics, and overwhelming numbers were the tools of victory. The galaxy had long believed that this formula was unbreakable. But the humans, despite their seemingly primitive technology and lack of formal military training, had done something the galaxy never saw coming. They had disrupted the rules of war. Inside Earth's military command centers, every second counted. Leaders and strategists were scrambling to assess the situation. How could they stop a fleet so powerful? How could they stand against such overwhelming odds? But they had already done it. The first step had been the signal. The mysterious transmission sent into space had been enough to confuse the aliens. They had expected Earth to fall in line, to submit to their power. Instead, they had been met with a message that hinted at something far more dangerous: unpredictability. And now, the second step of Earth's plan was underway. The humans were not fighting in the way the alien invaders expected. They were not firing weapons or assembling fleets for a direct confrontation. Instead, they were playing a different kind of war, one that used the power of information, deception, and surprise. Earth's greatest weapon was no longer its armies or fleets. It was its ability to think differently, to challenge the very rules of combat. On the surface of Earth, tensions were rising. Cities were on high alert. Civilians took shelter in underground bunkers, while the military prepared for an uncertain future. The entire world held its breath as the alien ships drew closer. But beneath this tension, something else was happening. Something the aliens could not see. Humanity had learned to use its greatest strength, resilience. And that resilience wasn't just about fighting back with force. It was about finding new ways to approach a problem, to see things from angles no one else had considered. While the alien fleet watched and waited, the humans were already planning their next move. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity could break the rules, shatter expectations, and fight a war on their own terms. This wasn't a conventional battle. The humans were going to redefine what it meant to win. The first surprise came when Earth's best hackers infiltrated the alien communications network. The humans had always been adept at understanding technology, and now they had used that knowledge to turn the aliens' own systems against them. Earth had no need to fight with the same weapons. It would fight with knowledge, with secrecy, and with a plan that kept shifting to stay ahead. In the shadows of the human command centers, leaders were huddled together, making decisions that would shape the future. They knew that they were up against something powerful, but they also knew they had one advantage: time. The longer they could hold out, the more time they would have to break the alien strategies apart and build their own countermeasures. But Earth's plan wasn't just about defense. It was about making the aliens second-guess themselves, making them question every move they had ever made. The humans knew that the aliens had come to conquer, to force Earth into submission. But they didn't understand what made humanity so dangerous. Humans would never surrender. They would never play by the rules. They would always fight back. As the days passed, the alien ships drew closer to Earth's atmosphere. Their weapons were ready, their fleets in position, but there was still no sign of the Earth forces engaging in direct combat. The silence was unbearable. The alien leaders began to wonder if Earth was truly as weak as they had believed, or if there was something more lurking beneath the surface. Then came the second transmission from Earth. It wasn't a warning this time. It wasn't a message of defiance. It was something far more disturbing. A challenge. The humans had declared war, but they were going to do it their way. The message simply said, "Let's see who breaks first." The aliens didn't know what to make of it. Was it a trick? A psychological attack? A show of strength? No one could say for certain, but one thing was clear. Earth wasn't going to surrender without a fight. The rules of war had been broken. The humans weren't playing the game the way the galaxy had taught them. And that was the most dangerous thing the aliens could have encountered. The time had come for the next move, and the humans were ready to change the course of history. As the alien fleet positioned itself above Earth, it was clear that they were expecting an easy victory. But humanity wasn't about to make it that simple. As the first wave of human counterattacks began, it wasn't just a battle of weapons. It was a battle of minds. The humans had already shown the galaxy that they weren't bound by the rules of war. Now, they were about to show the alien invaders that victory wasn't just about firepower. It was about doing whatever it took to survive. And the galaxy would soon learn what humans were capable of when they broke all the rules. The unexpected move. As the alien fleet hovered above Earth, an eerie silence filled the space between them and the planet. The humans had not yet launched a full-scale attack, and the invaders, confident in their overwhelming strength, waited for Earth's inevitable collapse. The aliens had seen many worlds fall before them, each one crushed under the might of their advanced technology. They believed Earth would be no different. But they were wrong. The humans had not given up. They were simply waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and that moment was fast approaching. Inside Earth's command center, General Sarah Collins stood in front of a large holographic map of the planet. The glowing red dots on the map indicated the alien ships in orbit, their powerful weapons ready to fire. Her team of strategists was tense, but Collins remained calm. They had expected this. The aliens might have had the upper hand in terms of firepower, but the humans had something far more important: ingenuity. "We can't fight them head-on," Collins muttered to herself, pacing back and forth. "We have to outthink them." Her team nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. While the aliens relied on their superior technology and predictable tactics, the humans had a different approach. They had learned from their past mistakes and built a strategy based on unpredictability, surprise, and innovation. Then, without warning, the first move was made. It wasn't an explosion or a barrage of missiles. It wasn't a show of strength at all. Instead, a signal was sent, an encrypted message transmitted directly to the alien fleet. The aliens were used to hearing threats and demands. They had heard it from countless other civilizations they had conquered. But this message was different. It was a challenge, a puzzle of sorts, one that the aliens would have to decode if they wanted to understand it. Earth will not surrender. Earth will fight back. The message was simple, yet powerful. But the true impact of it wasn't in the words. It was in the method. The aliens didn't know how to react. They had never faced an enemy that didn't engage in direct combat or follow predictable patterns. This message, which came from a planet they had considered weak, threw them off guard. As the aliens scrambled to decode the message, Earth's strategy was set into motion. The humans were playing a long game, one of patience and careful planning. They didn't have the resources to engage in a full-scale war, but they had something far more powerful: their minds. As the next phase of the plan began, small, seemingly insignificant changes occurred on the alien ships. Systems malfunctioned, weapons misfired, and communications were distorted. These weren't random errors, they were deliberate acts of sabotage, carried out by Earth's best hackers. The humans had infiltrated the alien fleet's communication network, and from the shadows, they were now controlling the flow of information. The aliens had thought they could dominate with their technology, but they had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and innovate. Back in the command center, Collins and her team watched as the alien ships began to fall into disarray. Their superiority in firepower was being chipped away, not by force, but by a war of wits. The aliens were now second-guessing every move, unsure of their own systems. They had come to conquer, but instead, they were being outsmarted. "This is just the beginning," Collins said, her voice steady with resolve. "We're not fighting them with guns and bombs. We're fighting them with brains." Meanwhile, the people on Earth watched in awe. News reports broadcasted images of the alien ships above, and though they were still looming, there was a sense of hope in the air. The humans had always been underestimated. Now, the invaders were beginning to feel that they had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity. The challenge to the aliens had only just begun. While the aliens struggled to understand the message, the humans were already preparing their next move. As the aliens focused on the puzzle Earth had presented, humanity began to make its own advances. They were developing new technologies, designing weapons that the aliens had never seen before. But more than that, they were building alliances. Every day, new nations and organizations around the world united, pooling their resources and knowledge to stand against the alien threat. The message that had been sent was a warning, but also a declaration. Earth would not be easy to conquer. The aliens might have had their weapons, but the humans had something far more dangerous: an unshakable will to fight, and the ability to outthink their opponents. As the alien fleet reoriented itself to deal with the growing chaos within its ranks, the humans prepared for the next phase. They knew the aliens would eventually strike back, but the question was, when? And more importantly, would the aliens ever realize that their greatest mistake wasn't underestimating Earth? It was thinking that the humans would ever play by the rules of war. The stage was set for an unexpected and unprecedented battle, one that would change the galaxy forever. The humans had broken the rules, and now, the aliens had to face the consequences. The battle of wits. The tension in the command center was palpable. General Sarah Collins and her team had taken the first step in what they knew would be a long and dangerous struggle. The alien fleet, disoriented by the series of technical failures, had begun regrouping, trying to repair their systems. But the humans were already one step ahead. The moment the aliens recovered from the chaos, they would face another surprise. "This is it," Collins said, staring at the holographic map in front of her. "They're reassembling. We need to act fast." The human forces had already begun executing their next phase of the plan. Small, agile ships, previously thought of as nothing more than experimental prototypes, had been launched into the atmosphere. These ships were not designed for combat, but for something far more dangerous: espionage. "We'll slip past their defenses, get to their flagship, and plant the virus," one of the lead strategists, Captain Alex Rivera, said. He had been working tirelessly alongside Earth's brightest minds to craft a virus designed to take down the alien fleet's central command systems. If they could break the heart of the fleet's communications and control, the war could shift in their favor. Collins nodded in agreement. "If we succeed, their entire fleet will be paralyzed. But if we fail, we won't have another chance." The plan was audacious, but the humans had learned that to win this fight, they had to be unpredictable. They couldn't meet the aliens head-on. They had to outsmart them. And that meant taking risks. Meanwhile, The alien commanders were beginning to realize that their initial confidence had been misplaced. They had faced countless worlds and crushed them with ease, but this one, Earth, was different. They had never faced an enemy that fought with intellect rather than brute strength. The message from Earth had been more than just a challenge. It had been a wake-up call. "I don't understand," one of the alien generals, Commander Xiron, said as he paced around the command room. "We've neutralized their communications. We've sabotaged their systems. Why is their resistance still growing?" Xiron's subordinate, a seasoned tactician named Gralixt, stood at attention. "It appears they've been anticipating our every move, Commander. They're using countermeasures we've never encountered." Xiron clenched his fists. "These humans are unpredictable. They're not like other species we faced." The aliens had underestimated the humans from the very beginning. And now, they were starting to understand just how costly that mistake was. Back on Earth, the countdown had begun. The small fleet of reconnaissance ships had breached the outer perimeter of the alien fleet's defenses. Their mission was clear: slip into the heart of the enemy's flagship and deliver the virus that would cripple their communications. If successful, the alien forces would be forced to fight blind. As the ships approached the alien flagship, the stakes grew higher. Captain Rivera's hands trembled slightly as he input the final coordinates. "We're in position. Time to launch the virus." The virus was a masterpiece of human engineering, designed to hijack the alien fleet's entire communication network. The humans had studied the aliens' technology and weaknesses, and they knew exactly where to strike. But they had no way of knowing how the aliens would respond. There was no guarantee that the virus would work. With a final press of the button, the virus was sent. The moment it entered the alien systems, a wave of chaos rippled through the flagship. Commanders tried to regain control, but the virus spread like wildfire, sabotaging everything in its path. Communications went dark, weapon systems malfunctioned, and the once imposing alien fleet was suddenly in disarray. The humans watched from Earth as the alien fleet became a tangled mess of confused ships. Some began to retreat, others stalled in place, unable to respond to commands. A sense of triumph began to build, but Collins knew this was just the beginning. "This is only a temporary victory," Collins warned. "The aliens will adapt, and we need to be ready for the next phase. But for now, we've given them a taste of what happens when they underestimate us." The victory didn't come without cost. Some of the reconnaissance ships had been lost during the mission, their crews sacrificing themselves for the greater good. But their bravery had opened the door to the next phase of humanity's battle for survival. As the aliens scrambled to fix the damage caused by the virus, they had no idea that humanity was already planning their next move. The humans had proven that they could break the rules of war. Now they would prove that they could win a war on their terms. The battle of wits had only just begun, and both sides knew that the path ahead would be filled with more surprises. The humans had taken the first step in rewriting the rules of war, and the universe would never be the same again. The turning tide. In the wake of their initial victory, humanity's morale surged. The alien fleet, once so confident and technologically superior, was in disarray. For the first time in the war, the human forces had struck a blow that would be felt across the galaxy. But even as victory tasted sweet, General Collins knew it was far from over. "We've breached their defenses, but this war is far from won," she said to her commanders. "We need to keep pushing forward while they're on the back foot. We've caught them off guard, but they'll adapt quickly. We need to stay one step ahead." Her words were heavy with experience. Earth had always been underestimated by the galaxy's more advanced species, and now humanity was showing the universe that their underestimated ingenuity could change the course of a war. But she knew better than to let the taste of victory cloud their judgment. On the front lines, the alien fleet was scrambling to recover from the chaos. Their once impressive flagship, now crippled by the virus, was slowly being repaired. The damage was severe, but the alien commandos were working tirelessly to undo the sabotage. Yet, something had shifted. The humans had shown them a level of adaptability and unpredictability they hadn't anticipated. "I don't know how they did it," Commander Chiron muttered as he stared at the wreckage of his fleet, "but they've broken our communication network. We can't even coordinate our attack strategies now." Grelix, his loyal tactician, bowed his head in frustration. "Their virus is unlike anything we've encountered before, Commander. It's like they've studied our weaknesses for years. We thought we had mastered this galaxy. But these humans, they've turned everything upside down." Zarin's gaze hardened. "Then it's time we show them the true power of our forces. This war is not over. Not by a long shot." Back on Earth, humanity was regrouping. The sense of urgency had shifted to one of strategic precision. With the alien fleet still reeling, the humans knew they had an opportunity to strike again. This time, they would push harder, exploiting every weakness they had exposed. The next phase of the plan was already underway. A coordinated assault on the alien homeworld. A risky move, but one that could change the war's trajectory forever. If the humans could make a successful strike on the heart of the alien empire, it would cripple their ability to fight back. The alien forces would have no choice but to surrender or face complete annihilation. As the human fleets prepared for their next attack, Collins was faced with an internal struggle. She knew how high the stakes were. If they failed, the cost could be devastating. But she also knew that if they succeeded, it would mark the beginning of the end of the war. "We've won some battles," Collins said in a meeting with her high command. "But now we face the most dangerous part of this war. We're going straight into the heart of their empire. And if they counterattack with full force, we'll be outmatched. We need to strike fast, and we need to be ready for anything." Her voice was firm, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. The odds were overwhelming, and every decision now carried the weight of their future. Meanwhile, as the humans set their course for the alien homeworld, Commander Chiron's orders were clear: no more mistakes, no more underestimating them. If the humans want to fight, they'll get it. This time, we'll show them who the real masters of the galaxy are. The tension was palpable on both sides. The humans had made their move, and now the aliens would retaliate with everything they had left. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the next few days would determine whether humanity would break the rules of war and secure their place in the stars, or whether they would be crushed beneath the might of the alien forces. As the two fleets prepared for the decisive clash, neither side knew what the future would hold. But one thing was certain: the war was about to enter its most dangerous and decisive chapter. And when it was over, everything would change. The final stand. The atmosphere on Earth was thick with anticipation. Every human in the fleet understood the gravity of what was about to unfold. The entire galaxy watched as humanity prepared for the most daring mission in its history: an assault on the heart of the alien empire. The stakes were higher than ever. General Collins paced in the war room, a figure of determination. "This is it," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Our final chance." Her commanders, a mix of veterans and new recruits, stood ready at attention, their eyes fixed on the holographic displays in front of them. The alien homeworld loomed large on the screen, its defenses appearing formidable and its atmosphere eerily calm, as if the planet itself was preparing for battle. "We've broken their communications. We've shattered their pride," Collins continued, her voice steady but filled with resolve. "Now we strike at the core. If we succeed, the war ends today. If we fail, there may be no Earth left to defend." Every eye in the room was trained on her. She had led them through the worst of the conflict, and they trusted her with their lives. The plan was audacious, the risk unfathomable, but they had no choice. It was time for humanity to either stand victorious or be erased from the galaxy's history. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the alien fleet stood poised for retaliation. Their commander, Chiron, had prepared for this moment ever since the humans had managed to breach their defenses. He stood at the helm of his flagship, eyes burning with fury. "We've underestimated them for too long. Siren growled, his fists clenched. Now, they will pay for their arrogance. His fleet, battered yet unyielding, had recovered from the earlier damage. Their resolve was stronger than ever. They were determined to crush humanity once and for all. As both sides readied for the clash, the darkness of space seemed to hold its breath. For once, there was no talk of rules of war, no sense of honor or strategy. This was a battle for survival, a battle where the strongest would dictate the future of the galaxy. Colin's fleet set course toward the alien homeworld, their engines burning bright as they tore through space at breakneck speed. The plan was simple but dangerous: infiltrate the heart of the alien empire, disable their command center, and force Siren to surrender. But there was one problem. The aliens weren't going to just roll over. "We're going to face the full force of their fleet," one of Colin's commanders warned, his voice tight with tension. "Their defense grid is unlike anything we've encountered. They'll be ready for us." "I know," Collins replied, her face grim. "But we have one advantage they don't: the element of surprise." And it was this advantage that humanity would cling to. The humans had learned from every mistake, adapted to every challenge. And now, as they neared the alien stronghold, they had one final card to play. Their technology was far from perfect, but it had proven enough to turn the tide of the war. They had breached alien systems, cracked their codes, and learned their tactics. Now, they would use this knowledge to finish what they had started. As the humans neared the alien homeworld, their fleet split into two groups. One would strike directly at the planet's defenses, distracting the enemy long enough to allow the second group to slip past undetected. The plan was risky, but it was the only chance they had. "We'll hit them hard, right at the heart of their empire," Collins ordered. "The rest of the galaxy might think we're small and insignificant, but today we proved them wrong." In space, the calm before the storm was palpable. The two forces would soon clash, each side aware that the battle would decide everything. Would humanity be able to shatter the alien empire once and for all, or would the aliens, with all their might, crush humanity's hopes and dreams? The fleets neared their destination, the tension building with every passing moment. Both sides held their breath, knowing that the battle ahead would either seal their fate or change the galaxy forever. For humanity, there was no turning back. There was only the final stand. The countdown began. 5 minutes, came the voice over the intercom. "Prepare for battle," Collins commanded, her tone cold and unyielding. "And remember, we are fighting for our survival. We don't stop until they surrender, or we end this." As her fleet moved into position, the alien forces did the same, lining up for what would be the most intense battle in galactic history. The day of reckoning was here, and only one side would emerge victorious. The final confrontation. The great battle between humanity and the alien forces had begun. The empty void of space erupted with light as weapons from both sides lit up the darkness. Ships from both fleets exchanged deadly blows, each hit sending shockwaves across the battlefield. The humans fought with unmatched determination, their ships weaving through enemy fire, dodging and returning blasts with precision. The aliens, though technologically superior, were now fighting a battle unlike any they had ever encountered. The human fleet had learned, adapted, and overcome every obstacle the aliens had thrown their way. General Collins stood at the helm of her flagship, staring out into the chaos. The ship rocked with each explosion as alien weaponry struck it, but she remained unshaken. "We've come too far to back down now," she muttered, her fingers tightly gripping the command console. "Hold the line, people. We're making history." Across the battlefield, the human ships moved in perfect sync. They had broken the alien communication systems, preventing the enemy from organizing their forces. The alien ships had become isolated, each one fighting a desperate battle on its own. Humanity's fleet, despite being outnumbered, was winning, something that even the aliens had never expected. But the alien commander, Tyron, wasn't going to let the humans win so easily. He knew this battle would be his last chance to crush the human threat once and for all. He had anticipated a fight, but not one like this. "Prepare the final weapon," he ordered, his voice cold and full of wrath. "We will not let these creatures think they have defeated us." In response, the alien flagship began to glow, its engines powered up as an enormous weapon came online. The energy buildup was immense, a beam of concentrated force that could obliterate entire fleets in one strike. Chiron was preparing to unleash it on humanity's fleet. The humans, however, had one last secret weapon, one they had kept hidden until now. General Collins had known that the final battle would come down to this moment, and she had a plan. The humans had used the element of surprise throughout the war, and now they would do so once again. "Deploy the pulse charges," she ordered, her voice resolute. "We need to disable their flagship, or we'll all be done for." Her crew worked swiftly, launching a series of small, advanced pulse charges that would disable the alien flagship's energy shields, rendering the ship vulnerable to attack. It was a risky maneuver, but it was their only chance. The pulse charges struck their target, and within moments, the alien flagship's shields flickered and fell. The humans didn't hesitate. They immediately launched a series of missiles and energy blasts, targeting the weak points of the alien ship. The flagship rocked violently, its main reactor exposed. "Now," Collins shouted, "finish this." The final volley of attacks hit their mark. The alien flagship, the symbol of their might, exploded in a brilliant flash of light, scattering debris across the battlefield. Chiron's ship was no more. The alien forces, without their leader and without coordination, faltered. The remaining ships, now vulnerable, were quickly picked off one by the relentless human fleet. The tide of battle had turned decisively in humanity's favor. But even as the last of the alien ships were destroyed, General Collins knew that this victory, while significant, came at a heavy cost. Her fleet had suffered greatly. Many ships were lost, and many brave soldiers would never return. Still, the humans had succeeded. They had done what everyone thought was impossible. They had defeated the aliens. As the battle finally came to an end, the remaining alien forces scattered, fleeing into the depths of space. The humans had won, but the galaxy would never be the same. The shockwaves of this victory would be felt throughout the universe. General Collins stood silently in the command center, watching the stars in the distance. She had led humanity to victory, but at what cost? What would the galaxy think of the human species now? Would they be feared? Respected? One thing was certain: the galaxy would never forget the day humans broke all the rules of war. As the final explosions faded and the fleet began to regroup, Collins allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. "We've won," she whispered, "but the real battle is just beginning." Humanity had shown the galaxy that they were not a species to be underestimated. And now, with the alien threat vanquished, they stood at the threshold of a new era. An era where the humans would decide their future on their terms. The end of this war was only the beginning of humanity's journey through the stars, and they would not be stopped.